Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today I have something new for the series, a tribrid. I don't think I've ever designed a 3-tribe hybrid before, or at least if I have, nothing's coming to mind for it. Generally I kind of try to avoid tribrids because I think they can kind of overcomplicate design sometimes, but in this case I just couldn't help myself. So this is Agate. He's the son of a leafwing-nightwing hybrid and a seawing. Now originally when I got the idea for this design, I wanted to do a leafwing-nightwing hybrid. I was looking at these cool geode patterns of green agate and it was so pretty. I thought it'd be cool to use the stripes as the pattern, and I like the gold in this picture, so I thought having some gold leafwing scales would be a neat way to add that color in. But the final result ended up being very blue-toned, so I just couldn't make it make sense as a leaf-night hybrid. I also thought about doing like a night-sea hybrid, but I've already got one of those, so... Also, I wanted to keep those gold scales that I'd already planned on, and I couldn't make that make sense if it was just a sea-wing-nightwing hybrid. Anyways, no matter what tribe combo I thought about, I just kept coming back to a tribrid. So that's what I went with. I'm trying something new. Like I always say, this was definitely one of those designs where I drew the dragon and then worried about the exact tribes. And this design sure turned out pretty, but very complicated. Not gonna lie, this would be kind of a headache to recreate in another drawing, but it was very fun to draw the first time. So, having 3 tribes in him, I had a lot of options on Agate's abilities and stuff. He has normal wings, but I did give them like a leaf shape, if that makes sense, kind of matching that leafwing wing in a few places. It's more like a mix between a normal wing and a leafwing wing. Otherwise, the body itself, minus the horns and the tail, is pretty standard Nightwing base. Obviously, I threw in those gold leafwing scales, but most of the detail is in the colors, not the scales themselves. Now, Agate can breathe underwater, but unlike most sea wings, he can't swim just anywhere. His gills can only filter fresh water. In salt water, he'd drown just like any other dragon. I thought this was kind of a cool distinction to make, and it makes sense with his coloring. Camouflage-wise, he'd blend in better in a riverbed than an ocean, I think. Not that he'd blend in a whole lot at all, but still. He does have some leaf speak abilities. His mother, the leafwing-nightwing hybrid, was a fairly powerful leaf speaker, but the amount of gold coloring he has isn't indicative of that. His ability is very faint. Most of his coloring is actually just inherited from his mom. However, the star scales on his wings actually glow. Very faintly, not really visible unless it's super dark, but that's something he inherited from his dad. So I did another thing I usually dislike, which is giving him powers from more than one tribe. I just made them all weak to kind of make up for it. Anyhow, speaking of family, let's talk about his backstory. So Agate grew up in Pyria with both parents, sometime far in the future of Wings of Fire. I feel like for tribrids to be running around, you have to have quite a fair amount of hybrids, and especially for cross-continental pairs, that's why it's far in the future. Now, Agate lives near a river in southern Pyria. He picked that spot because at night it gives him the best view of the heavens. And Agate is an astronomer. Yep, he got leafwing and seawing powers and a nightwing hobby. Ever since he was a dragonette, he's been fascinated with everything about the sky, but especially the constellations and moons spinning around their continent. His life's goal is to chart the stars and make a map showing how they move. He spent a few years living in Pantala, too, studying the stars from a different continent. He carefully watches the moons, charting their paths and predicting their phases. He finds new constellations, some to share with others, and some just for himself. Since he generally spends all night awake, Agate is more of a nocturnal type, like the Nightwings of old. But that doesn't mean he never sees anyone. Agate has friends in nearby cities and villages, and often goes to visit them. He likes to bring his new charts and scrolls with him to add them to local libraries and archives, always updating his work as he learns new things. Agate's favorite thing to do besides studying the stars is to swim. That's why he picked a spot near a river. He loves the water, calm and shallow and cool during the summer. Strangely enough, he has a bit of a fear of the ocean. Being able to breathe in fresh water but not salt water, it's a point of fear for him. Plus, with the strong currents and the huge predators, it's a lot more dangerous than he's used to. When he visits Pantala, he much prefers to fly there. He's a quiet guy but not shy. Agate is an ambivert, perfectly happy to spend time with friends or just as comfortable entertaining himself alone. Overall, he just has a love of knowledge, enjoys figuring things out and learning things. I think his design really turned out nice. It took like 2 hours to draw, and over an hour of that was coloring, which is a lot for me. But that probably doesn't surprise anyone. With a design as complicated as this one, it makes sense. I also love the colors that Agate ended up with. That muted blue-green with the gold just looks beautiful. I'm really glad I stuck with that instead of changing it to a more green tone palette like I'd considered. Definitely worth it. If you're interested in adopting Agate, this character will be up for auction over on my DeviantArt, like always. It'll go until noon tomorrow, and there's a link in the description of the video, so if you want to check that out, you know what to do. Also in the description are links to my Redbubble, Patreon, and store. If you want to see cool Wings of Fire merch, including my custom playing cards, go ahead and use that link to check that out. It's a great way to support me so I get to keep doing fun stuff like this. Thank y'all for watching, and have a blessed rest of your day.